Ruby with the Law Office of Ruby Steinbrecher. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself and why I do what I do and why I do it the way that I do it. So, estate planning. That's what we do here at the Law Office of Ruby Steinbrecher. We do estate planning, probate, trust administration, and estate administration. I really came to this because of life experiences. Unfortunately, I have suffered a lot of loss in my life from a young age, and it really has informed what I do. And I think that it's really given me a unique ability to do what I do because I have been there. I've gone through probate with a loved one. I have gone through trust administration with a loved one, and I have also been the recipient of a trust. So it all started a long time ago. When I was 8 years old, my dad passed away, and my grandparents were very big on education. My grandma was an English teacher, and they set up a trust for my sister and I that would pay for our college education. And the trust was very clear that we had to attend a four-year college or university or we would not get any of the other assets remaining in the trust. My Uncle Steve, who was 13 years older than my dad, was an attorney, and he was the trustee of our trust. And while I knew that not everybody had a trust, I thought that if you had a trust, that it was pretty straightforward, no big deal, uneventful. I didn't realize until I was in my early 20s that this was not the case, and that I was just very fortunate to have an Uncle Steve looking out for me as my trustee because he was family, he cared about me, and he was an attorney and he knew what he was doing. So when I was about 21, a very close family friend of mine, her very famous father, passed away, and it turned into a big conflict that ended up in court. And this was the days of court TV, and there were cameras in the courtroom. We all went to Marin Superior Court to support the family for the testimony that was happening that day. And I will never forget this day because his estate planning attorney was on the stand. And while I don't remember exactly what he said, what I do remember is realizing that he had an estate plan. There was a trust. He had an attorney. He had all these resources, and we were still in court. And I thought that if you had a trust and if you had an estate plan that was done properly, that you do not end up in court, because that's one of the big reasons why people do their proactive estate planning is to avoid court and conflict for their loved ones. So it was that moment that I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to help people like my friend, and I felt like everybody deserves to have an Uncle Steve or something close to it. And if I could provide that type of services to people, then I would be doing a good thing. So fast forward, I went to law school. Unfortunately, during law school, my brother passed away, and I was the personal representative in his probate case because he did not have a trust and he owned property and had other assets. Went through that whole process. And after law school, I got a job at a big law firm. And while I enjoyed that work, the way that they served clients seemed counterintuitive to me. Big law firms often, bill an hourly rate, and the attorneys who work there are often authorized to and required to bill in 15-minute increments. Even if you're on a 2-minute call, you bill for 15 minutes. And I will never forget this client who called me. It was an estate planning matter. Her husband had passed away. It landed on my desk and assigned to me. She called to give me some information. The call lasted about 5 minutes, and I did what I was required to do and bill her for 15. She, of course, complained because it was ludicrous. And I knew that I didn't like the way that we were doing things because she was not going to call back. She had no reason to call back. And I knew that things were not going to go well for her if she was not able to call her attorney and talk about her estate plan. An estate plan has to be updated as life changes. And that's why it's so important to have a good relationship with your attorney and have continuity in that relationship. I was at that firm for about 2 years, and then I had the opportunity to move to the village of Mendocino, where I worked at a smaller estate planning firm. It was a boutique firm, and it was much more palatable to me because we were interacting directly with clients, and very important, we billed on a flat fee basis. So I knew that there wasn't going to be that barrier keeping clients from calling and giving us information because they were going to be billed for those 15-minute increments. And while I learned a lot at that firm, there were definitely still gaps in the process. At the time, I couldn't quite articulate what those gaps were, but it was exemplified in a case that we had. I sat in with this client. He was a classic Mendocino guy who came in looking like a dirty logger, because that's what he was, and turned out he had an estate worth about $7 million. And he mentioned that he had a son and a daughter, but he hadn't spoke to the son in some time. And we did not go further. We should have asked more curiosity questions about that relationship. We finished his estate plan. We said goodbye. A year later, that client had a heart attack. His daughter found his estate planning documents, saw the name of the firm on it, came in to talk to us and find out what's next. Turned out that because there were some gaps in the process, this client did not have a full understanding of what he needed to do to ensure his plan continued to work as he carried on with his life. So he had refinanced a property. They required him to take the property out of the name of the trust, and he didn't realize that he needed to put it back into the name of the trust. And there were a couple other things, but she came back to us. Turns out the property was never put back into the trust, and then the son showed up. And it was just a terrible tragedy because it was a simple misunderstanding that had caused them to be estranged and not have a relationship, and having him be essentially cut out of the will and the trust. And the whole thing ended up in court, ended up in conflict. And that is exactly why that client came to us in the first place, was to avoid court and conflict. So I moved to Sebastopol. It's been 11 years now after working at that firm in Mendocino. And over COVID, I discovered a coaching program that really helped me articulate what was missing. And so I became accredited through that program. It's called a PFL accreditation, so personal family lawyer. And one of the main commitments is that a personal family lawyer has to have a succession plan, because this is the only way that you can ensure that you're going to have continuity with your estate planning attorney. And it's so important because you want someone who knows your family, knows your situation, and can assist you as things change, make amendments to your trust. What a lot of people don't realize is that most of the time, if you have to go to a different attorney to update your trust, they essentially have to start all over again. Because because of my malpractice insurance, cannot make simple amendments to a trust that I did not create. So if a client comes to me and they have a trust created by another attorney, I will have to start all over again. And I don't want that for my clients. I want my clients to be able to make easy changes at a low cost and with little difficulty, or having to, explain your whole family situation over and over to new people. So that's why I am now doing my law practice the way that I think it should be done. And it ensures, to the best of my ability, that my clients' plans will work when they need to work, that you will have no surprises in your billing. It's all flat fee basis, all included. There won't be a surprise bill at the end for 15-minute increments or the random phone call. We also will check in with you every 3 years once you're my client, in case you forget that you have a trust, in case you forget to make updates when life changes. Don't worry about it, because we're going to call you, reach out, in 3 years and check in and say, hey, what's new? Anything different with your assets? Anything different with your family situation? And that way we can proactively assist you in ensuring that your plan works when you need it to work. So that's really my philosophy. I think that estate planning is so much more than your legal documents. This is your family, your life, the money that you've worked so hard for your whole life to build up and have for yourself and your family. And we want to make sure that it goes to the people you want it to. It's very disappointing when I see that people who could have done some simple steps to ensure that their family is taken care of don't do those steps. It costs a lot more on the other end if you wait and if you just don't do your own planning, because then your family is going to be going through probate, and that causes so much more time, energy, money than doing your own proactive estate planning. I live here in Sebastopol, California. I live with my 14-year-old daughter, my husband, a whole bunch of animals. I like to garden, and I really love my community, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's a lot of people who are getting older, and it's really sad to see when some folks just resist doing these very simple things, and it actually is a lot easier of a process than you might realize. So I would love the opportunity to talk to you about your needs and if I can help you. We offer a free monthly workshop. You can find our upcoming workshops on my website, lawofficeofruby.com, and register there. It's a really great way to start the process. It just gives you a basic overview of what estate planning is, how it applies to you, and will give you some things to think about that you may not have thought about before. So that's it for now. I can't wait to see you on my next YouTube video that I post, and I hope you subscribe, share, like, and that's it for today. Thanks so much. Bye.